What's up, YouTube? Today I'll be going over 10 Ableton workflow tips that'll make your producing faster, smoother, and more fun.
Bad tabs. Bring it.
What's up, everybody? My name is Mad Tabs and I make content on DJing and music production. If you're looking to level up your skills, go ahead and make sure to subscribe. Alright, let's hop into the DAW. Got the DAW open. Tip number 1. Use an Ableton template. My last video was showing you how I set up my Ableton template exactly. Basically what an Ableton template is, every time you open up a brand new Ableton, this is how I have my template ready to go. So you can have your groups and yours organized however you want. Then you're going to come here, File, or Live Settings, File Folder, Save Current as Default. You'll hit Save. So that way, every time you open up a brand new Ableton, you have it how you want it. This saves time by avoiding repetitive steps, things you're always doing, dragging in your drum rack, loading it with your drums. I already have mine ready to go. Same with subs. Got my subs ready to go. I've got a couple different ones right here. My template also has my sidechain ready to go, so I don't really even have to worry about it. It's automatically set up. All I have to do is copy and paste my MIDI roll from my drum rack into my trigger, and my sidechain is ready to go. By eliminating steps that you're constantly doing, such as grouping your effects together or grouping your subs together or making your instruments, this streamlines the process where everything is ready to go for you. Tip number 2, use groups to stay organized and use colors. And make sure that you are labeling everything. So mine's pretty barren right now, but once I start actually making a track, I don't leave this as, piano. I would rename this as main piano. And when I'm naming my things, I make sure to name everything in a folder, lowercase, and then to all caps the folders. So visually, I know what's going on multiple layers. The colors don't really matter. You can just do whatever colors work for you, but this is what works for me. Tip number 3. To keep in line with the colors, my next tip is for these guys, the collections. So I recommend having all of them and all of them doing something of a different purpose for you. So my red is my favorites. These are the ones I'm always grabbing. It's a lot of the audio effect racks and Serum and Vital, just instruments that I'm grabbing often. My orange is all kilohertz plugins, all of them. Every single kilohertz plugin that I own, you'll find here. And some of them have 2 because I use these ones a little bit more often than other things. Got racks in my blue one, more racks in the purple ones. I know what's going on here. Again, make it work for you. Tip number 4, understanding keyboard shortcuts for Ableton. I don't know all of them, but the ones that I do know are things that I'm constantly doing. So making a new audio track, Command T. Making a new MIDI track, Command Shift T. Making a MIDI clip on the MIDI roll, Command Shift M. One of my favorite keyboard shortcuts is Shift Tab. It'll take you from MIDI roll to the audio channel for post-processing. And it works back and forth. I'll be sure to leave this link in the video description below, but it's worth checking out to see what you're doing often enough where it would be faster just to use it on the keyboard than, clicking everything and right-clicking everything and toggling settings. Tip number 5, freeze and flatten. So there's 2 reasons that I freeze and flatten my things. Number 1 would be because CPU power. Sometimes when I'm running a pretty dense project file and I have a lot of things going on, a lot of automations, some of the serums and vitals that have a lot going on, I freeze and flatten. And I'll show you how to freeze and flatten. Pretty basic. Probably everybody knows how to do this. You have whatever you want. You're going to freeze it and flatten it. And the second reason that I freeze and flatten my things is for sound design purposes. Being able to cut up certain chunks and then doing different warp modes can result in some pretty cool things. So you can get pretty crazy with this. So those are my two reasons why I freeze and flatten, save CPU and for sound design. Tip number 6, utilizing this search bar by saving everything you make. So let's make a quick little rack real quick. I have this initial preset on the Serum. Let's throw frequency shifter on it, OTT, saturator, disperser, did I break it? There we go. Alright, so like let's say we did our post-processing. This is roughly what we did, right? Okay, cool. So we can group this. Save it. Add tabs. 10 Ableton workflow rack. Cool. Now anytime I'm doing something else in a different session down the road and I want to make a new, I'm like, oh yeah, I want to use that one. So I would go to the search bar, 10 Ableton. You would go to all results, and then here would be all of your instruments and post-processing racks that you've saved. Boom, drag and drop, boom, and it's got everything all loaded up. This really helps to save time. There's times where I'll have a really nice bass and I'll spend 20, 30, 40 minutes doing post-processing, tweaking every little knob to get the noise sounding exactly as I want it. You spent that time doing all of that post-processing on it. There's no reason to do that same post-processing later down the road. Save all that post-processing. You don't have to group it within the Serum to be you can just do the audio effects. Group it. Save it. 10 Ableton workflow post-process. Cool. So then we would go to search. We would search 10 Ableton, go to my all results, and I'd find the post-processing I like. So now we can put this post-processing on everything. Put it on this audio channel, put it on the master if we wanted to. You can put it literally anywhere you want it because you've saved it. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel. Tip number 7 is going to be return tracks. If there's audio effects that you're constantly adding to certain things, for me, reverb. So I made a whole reverb send channel. And what I really like about this one is that I have this finished with the compressor that is doing sidechain to the kick and snare group. And I really like that because it still lets my drums punch through. So instead of having to add this reverb onto, you know, some of my bass groups or some of my elements within the track, I can just do sends because this is B here, like BC. So now this is about 100% of this is getting sent over there. And what I like about this is it doesn't just add the audio effects, it almost runs, I'm probably going to explain this poorly, but it almost runs as similar to parallel processing. Tip number 8, using macros for complex automations. So let's go back to the reference I was using with this rack. I just pull the rack in, it's got that Serum ready to go for us. I'm talking about these macros right here. So when you want to get crazy with some of these automations, instead of automating some of these parameters within here to make it a little bit easier to read visually, I like to use the macros. So let's hit map, and then you can hit everything you're wanting. So let's revert this back to initial settings, and then we'll hit map, find, and then we'll map it to macro 1. We're still in map mode. Come into the disperser, and we'll touch the pinch. If you notice, the pinch is now right here, so it's highlighted. We can hit map. So this is the disperser pinch. You can also get pretty crazy with it. Come into Serum. Let's say we had a, something here. We could touch the LFO rate. And if you notice, it's highlighted here. Map. get out of the map settings. So now when we want to automate one of these parameters, we can just do it here. Go into automation mode by hitting A. So now we can do the fine, we can do the pinch, or we can do the LFO right here. And what I really like about doing these is, again, reverting back to my other tip from earlier, staying organized. Being able to color code these also really helps. Like this is the disperser pinch, so we'll highlight it the red color because it's the same. So this helps me visually knowing what's going on, and when I'm not fighting with my DAW and I know what's going on, I'm making music faster, which for me is more fun. So staying organized by using these really helps out as well. Tip number 9 is using reference tracks. So in my Ableton default template, I have a channel at the very top for references. You're going to want to make sure this is set to out and not master. You don't want anything on your master channel doing effects on this. So set that to out. That way you can just be able to toggle it on and off or solo out when you want to hear your reference track. Having your reference track inside of your Ableton is super useful because you can pull up things like you lean this mount, or whatever loudness meter you're running. I know there's like that Ableton Swiss Army one, that one's pretty good as well. And then you can pull up other things like your imagers, so that way when you're referencing the song next to yours, you can see how wide theirs is, how loud theirs is. You can even do, I know Ableton has a stock one, but I like this one. So you can see the wave, you can see exactly how everything is in comparison to yours. Tip number 10, last tip I got for you, is setting default audio and default MIDI channels. So when I go to make a new audio track, I'll hit Command T, and if you notice on my audio track, there is already an EQ8 on it, cutting off the lows at 100 Hertz. And if I were to open up a MIDI channel, Command Shift T, a serum is already on there, loaded, ready to go. And you do this similar to the saving the default Ableton template. 9 times out of 10 when I'm making an audio channel, I'm throwing an EQ8 on it right away and taking out the lows. Again, 9 times out of 10. So it's nice to have it on there already. Same with serum. When I'm opening up a new MIDI channel, 9 times out of 10, I'm grabbing a serum. Occasionally I'll be grabbing other things, but 9 times out of 10, I'm grabbing a serum. And so having the new MIDI channel already come with serum on it saves me time. And I can get to my ideas faster. So you'll do that by making if you were to hit Command Shift T and make a new MIDI channel, there wouldn't be anything on it. So go ahead and load up your serum onto it. Then you're going to right click on the channel and you'll hit Save as Default. I believe my camera is covering it. Let me see if I can toggle no camera. Yep, there we go. Right here, Save as Default MIDI track. Same thing with your audio channel. Put whatever effects you want on it, come over to it, right click it, Save as Default audio track. So that way it's the default. Every time you open up a new one, it's how you want it to be. Well, that's it. Those are my 10 Ableton tips to speed up and help and improve your workflow. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any Ableton tips, go ahead and make sure you leave those in the comments down below so we can get a bigger list going of all of these. Go ahead and make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss a single video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.